I'm here today to talk about an often overlooked health problem that is affecting majority of the world's population and a product that can help address this issue. So many people would agree that our modern lifestyle right now is actually far from ideal. We live in an always on, often chaotic world that has us working long hours, sleeping poorly, stressed out, and eating on the run. All of these factors come together and lead to many health problems today. And one of the earliest signs that something's about to go wrong is when there's an imbalance in our metabolic health. So what is metabolic health? When we think about metabolism, we usually envision about how our body breaks down our food and turns it into energy. But it's actually a lot more than that. It's about the sum total of all these biochemical processes in our body that are actually intertwined and interconnected together to help our body function properly. And once there's something wrong, the some of the key indicators that show that would be our cholesterol and triglycerides, our blood sugar levels, our blood pressure, insulin sensitivity, and an increase in waist circumference. So many people mistakenly think that just because they're thin, that they are healthy metabolically. But study shows that around two-thirds of normal weight participants actually do not have optimal metabolic health. In fact, 7 out of 8 of us is metabolically unhealthy. So this is really a big issue. So one of the most common manifestations of poor metabolic health is in the blood glucose response. As you can see here, those with the abnormal metabolism retain a high level of blood glucose even hours after their meal, compared to that of those with a stable blood glucose response. Aside from blood glucose, there are actually many other symptoms that can manifest that showcase your poor metabolic health. And I would wager that those listening here today can relate to at least one of these symptoms here. So if you can relate to those symptoms showed there, it's probably a sign that you may have what we call metabolic syndrome. So metabolic syndrome is actually a precursor to a lot of chronic health problems, such as high cholesterol and high blood pressure, which can lead to cardiovascular diseases. Also, high blood glucose level and insulin resistance, which are hallmarks of diabetes, which is one of the world's most common diseases that can lead to death and morbidity. And then there's also fatty liver. So the liver is a very important organ because it helps detoxify our blood and break down substances. And once there's something wrong with that, it can lead to many health problems. And fatty liver actually eventually leads to cancer as well. And then for women, there is what we call the polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS, which can lead to infertility and weight gain, among many other symptoms. So right now, the solution to these problems is to take maintenance medication that can help keep the status quo and prevent the situation from getting worse. But then for that, you need to take one for each of these diseases. And you're not really addressing the root cause. So you need to take these medicines for the rest of your life if you don't want to get worse. So is there a better solution to this problem? So Nu Skin, after performing 7 years of research, they were able to find that anthocyanins can actually present as a possible solution to this problem. So anthocyanins are actually a group of vibrant blue, purple, and red pigments found in select fruits and vegetables. The problem is, in an average adult diet, we only get around 25 milligrams, when in order to get the optimal health benefits, we need at least 215 milligrams. And another issue would be that not all types of anthocyanins are created equal. By doing research, they were able to find that cyanidin and delphinidin were the best variants of anthocyanin. And as shown in this study here, they were the best at preventing inflammatory damage in our cells in our body. So this is all well and good, but where's the actual proof? So by performing the due diligence, they actually performed actual clinical studies on their product. So here we have a double-blind placebo-controlled study that actually measured the metabolic effects of a high-fat meal with using a placebo compared to giving the anthocyanin blend. As you can see here, the blood glucose response sharply decreased, the blood glucose level sharply decreased when taking anthocyanins compared to the placebo, which is great, especially for diabetics. And then here, the plasma endotoxin levels, which is the amount of toxins released by these bad bacteria, was significantly reduced when taking the anthocyanins. And here in another study, which is an 8-week open label clinical study for 46 healthy obese individuals, they were able to measure the HbA1c level decreasing significantly after supplementation. So this is great because HbA1c is actually a more stable indicator of the blood glucose level compared to, say, postprandial glucose or fasting blood sugar. Okay. So another clinical study shows that the high-fat diet would lead to an accumulation of fat in the liver, but by taking anthocyanin, they were able to actually reduce the amount of fat there to be that similar to a healthy liver. And then they also measured the metabolic pathways and the biological effects of this anthocyanin blend in all of these organs and tissues here in the body. And they were able to find that just by taking the anthocyanins, they were able to closely mimic the metabolic pattern of a healthy individual. So this anthocyanin blend was able to reset the metabolic pattern so that they become healthy again. And aside from these studies presented here, there are actually more. There are even more on inflammatory balance and the gut microbiome health, and even some third-party clinical studies. So if you know that this product here can help you or your loved ones cope with the effects of a modern lifestyle, have better health, and increase your quality of life, and want to get some for yourself, go back to the person who sent you this video so that they can answer your questions. Thank you for listening.